Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration show with attorney Mr. Parvathaneni from Simmat Parvathaneni and Ram. Please note that Sakshi TV now has three immigration shows every week at 5 p.m. EST on Thursdays with attorney Sam Parvathaneni, on Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. EST with attorney Prashanti Reddy, and on Fridays at 6 p.m. EST with Banu and Indra. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call us at 8665 Before we begin the show, please note that the information provided on the show is not a legal advice and for general information purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for the use of information. If you need any specific legal advice, please contact the attorney directly. From the beginning, Mr. Chan needs no introduction, but if you need any consultation, please log on to spblawfirm.com for contact information. When you connect with them, don't forget to mention Sakshi TV. From the beginning, spblawfirm.com site has put a wealth of free information and online tools in the hands of immigrant community and for the benefit of US employers. The www.spblawfirm.site provides you with the latest and the cutting-edge information on US immigration laws and policies explained in terms which you do not have to be a lawyer to understand. We will continue the knowledge session along with the news and updates on the latest immigration by Q&A. Before we get into the topic, the numbers can join and call us on the numbers on the screen for the questions related to immigration. So today's topic is Green Card I-485 priority date, retrogression in October 2022 Bulletin, and also some recent USCIS updates. So without any further delay, let's welcome Mr. Chan. Hello, Chan Garu. How are you? It's wonderful having you back again. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewers watching the show right now?
Sure. Hello, Shivani, and thanks to all the Sakshi TV viewers who are joining all across the world. So in terms of US immigration, compared to the last couple of years, this is the time to be in the immigration world because approvals have become a lot more smoother. We don't see denials like we used to see in the past. We are seeing the green cards being issued a lot more quickly. So overall, things on the immigration side, especially the employment-based immigration side in the country in US, have become a lot more streamlined in the last couple of months. However, there are still inefficiencies, and we anticipate that USCIS will remove some of these inefficiencies. But right now, the H-1Bs, the green cards, things are a lot more smoother than what they used to be a couple of years ago. With that said, I'll be happy to discuss.
So, Mr. Chan, I think we already have a caller. Let us join them in. Sure. Hello, you can definitely ask the question to Mr. Chan. Hello, caller. Okay, I think we can let them join later. So yes, Mr. Chan, can we get on to the topic? Can you tell us, are there any recent new US updates that we have to know, any immigration updates?
Sure. We have some very good news, but we also have some upsetting news about the green card dates as it impacts Indian nationals. Starting off with the good news. The good news is that USCIS has not wasted any green card numbers this year. They have used a record number of the green card numbers. And what that means is they have issued record number green cards in the employment-based categories. And most of the beneficiaries are Indian nationals. So in the last couple of years, this is the year where most of the Indian nationals got green cards, looking at their numbers. And the next is the bad news. So the bad news is, yes, this year we saw a record number of green card approvals. The main reason being the green card numbers have not been wasted. USCIS has been very, very particular in ensuring that they did not waste any green card numbers. So in spite of that, we have some very bad news. And the bad news initially was submitted in a court declaration in a pending lawsuit earlier this week. So earlier this week, the USCIS officer, he submitted a declaration. And in that court declaration, they stated that all the visa numbers for EB1 and EB2 categories for this current fiscal year. So the current fiscal year ends September 30th. So for the current fiscal year, all the visa numbers are gone. And what that means is that no more green cards can be issued this year for EB1 and EB2 categories. That is one bad news. They also stated that retrogression will happen in that declaration in the lawsuit. And immediately following that declaration, the very next day, which was yesterday, we saw USCIS coming up with October 2022 visa bulletin. And the 2022 visa bulletin, it's not at all something what you were expecting. We finally have retrogression. So the EB2 dates went back, and that is very upsetting. So the dates have moved back to April 1st, 2012. They were in December 2014, and they went back 2 years. So a lot of people, a lot of folks who have been eagerly anticipating for the green cards, and many of them have been waiting since 2020 October when they filed their initial 485. So all of them are in a limbo right now, and we need more data. We need to see the next couple of bulletins, but the most immediate bulletin, the October 2022 bulletin, it's a very shocking and a very unfortunate bulletin where the dates have retrogressed back. The only good thing is, luckily, the EB3 dates have not retrogressed. The EB3 is still moving ahead, not by much, but at least there is no retrogression in EB3 category.
Yes. Before we get on to the caller, we have another caller. Let's just join them in. Hello. Hi, you can definitely ask the question to Mr. Chan.
Hello, hi, this is Kiara and I'm calling from Hyderabad. I would like to visit US on the B1, B2 visit visa. Can you kindly tell me what's the process for that?
Sure. So for the B1, B2 visa, you will have to get an interview date in India. So you will have to go to the site, the website, and you would have to fill up a DS-160. You have to take a visa date and then attend the consulate interview. However, the unfortunate thing is over the last 2 years, because of COVID pandemic, the embassies were closed and many B1, B2 appointments, they were all canceled. And again, they have slowly started opening up B1, B2 slots. So from your perspective, just make sure you look at the slots, you look at the embassy openings, try to book in a slot and go for a B1, B2 interview at the most earliest possible date. And the big thing is you have, so the criteria for B1, B2 is that you have to prove that you're not an intending immigrant. And what that means is you have to prove that your intention is to visit United States, be a visitor, and then finish up your visit and then go back to India. So you do have to prove that to the Department of State officer at the consulate that your intention is to stay temporarily in US and then return back to India. And the way you would demonstrate your intent is through documents such as your financial documents. If you have a job in India, that shows your ties to India. If you have a lot of family in India, you'll show that your ties are in India. You're going to come back. So the goal is prove that your intent is to visit US only for a short temporary visit. And then because all your ties are in India, you are coming back to India. So I think good luck with your visa processing. And the main challenge right now is getting a slot. So if you get a slot, then I think the next steps will fall in place.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the caller for calling us. Another question that I had, Mr. Chan, is it shocking that EB2 green card dates have been retrogressed? Can you explain what that is and what exactly happened and how is this going to impact Indian nationals who are waiting for their green cards?
Sure. So in general, we have employment-based green cards, and then we have family-based green cards. And within the employment-based green cards, which most of the Indian nationals use, we have 5 categories. So the EB1, that's for the priority workers. The EB2 is for the members of professions holding advanced degrees, basically a master's degree or above. That is called the EB2 category. And then we have a category for EB3. So EB3 is for the skilled workers, the professionals, and other workers. So typically it is used for people who just have a bachelor's degree and not much experience. And then we have EB4 category. So the EB4 category is for religious workers, for somebody like Christian pastors, Hindu pujaris, so who want to come to US and be a religious worker. So the EB4 category gives green cards to religious priests, to pastors, and so on. And then you have the EB5, the investor category. So the EB5 category That's also a part of employment category because investors will create employment. So they are employment creation immigrants. So you have five categories. And what happened is in 2020, because of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, many embassies and the consulates were closed. And what that has caused is a lot of the family based categories. So in the family based immigration, people typically go to the consulates. People typically go to the consulates and get the green cards. So family-based visas is for, say, the spouses of U.S. citizens, for parents of U.S. citizens, for the children of U.S. citizens, and so on. So because the embassies were closed, the Department of State, they were not able to issue green cards to all these family-based immigrant categories. And what that meant is all of that numbers got unused. And there is a feature where those numbers can spill over to the employment based categories. In general, we only have 140,000 employment based green cards, which are divided into all the five categories. And within 140,000, we also have only 7% country quota. So only 7% of this quota can be given to India. So anything more than that, because of the country quota, India is at a disadvantage. So that is what has been happening so far. And because of this COVID pandemic, because the family based categories were not using their quota, there is something called the a fall up and a fall down provision. And because of fall up and fall down provisions, what has happened in 2021 and 2022 is that a lot of green cards from these family based categories, they came into the employment based categories. So now all of a sudden in 2021 we have 260,000 green cards available. In 2022 we have 281,000 green cards available in the employment based categories, whereas in usually we only have 140,000 green cards. And last year, USCIS messed up this whole issue. So last year, USCIS wasted a lot of green cards. So technically, we had 261,000 available green cards, but USCIS, because of their inefficiencies, they did not use all those green cards, and almost 60,000 green cards got wasted. And this year, they got a lot of heat. So people were not very happy about it. There were lawsuits, and this year, USCIS took it up as a challenge. They announced a long time ahead of time that this year they will try everything in their power not to waste the green card numbers. They kept their word. So what they did is they utilized all the 287, 281K visa numbers that are available. And based on all the approvals, based on all the numerous cases that got approved in the last couple of months, we have seen that USCIS kept their word. They made sure 281,000 green cards were given and no green cards were wasted. Now the problem of retrogression. Because USCIS has given all the green cards, they've used up all the green cards, no green card number has been wasted. Now we are at a point where they don't have any visa numbers available for this fiscal year. And what that means is anybody that has a pending green card application as of today, they will not be issued a green card at least till October 1st, 2022, because all the visa numbers have been used up. After October 1st, 2022, the priority date as of today, because of the retrogression, it is April 1st, 2012. So anybody before April 1st, 2012 can be issued a green card after October. And down the line, we have to see how the visa bulletins will be issued and what kind of a spillover we'll have from this year from the family-based categories. And we would have to see the impact of retrogression in the coming visa bulletins.
Yes. So, Mr. Chand, is it true that many 485 fillings filed just recently in May of 2022 got green cards, even though their priority date is in late 2014, which many old cases are still not proceeded? So, is it also true that now that with retrogression, many people from 2012 and 2013 are still left waiting for green card? Is it true?
Yes, so a lot of people, a lot of Indian nationals filed in 2020 October because 2020 October, all of a sudden the dates jumped. So in 2020, a lot of people filed. 2021, a lot of Indians filed. And it is true that people who have filed recently in April 2022 or May 2022, they received their green cards. But there are numerous cases for those applicants that filed in 2020 or even 2022 who are still waiting for a green card. And there is a reason for this. So the US Citizenship and Immigration Services Director, Ur Jadao, so recently in an interview, she said that not wasting a single employment-based green card is one of her main priorities for this year. She said it is one of her most important priority. And to accomplish this priority, to not to waste any green card numbers, they changed their processes. Last year, they wasted more than 60,000 green cards. So this year, the goal is, if they go in a sequential order, if they go in the order of when the applicants have submitted their green cards, that strategy is not working because that strategy was slowing them down. So USCIS changed their strategy because their goal is not to waste any green cards. And now their strategy took a controversial approach. And their approach is, rather than processing the green card applications by the date they were filed, what the agency did is they processed the most easiest applications first. And that meant that some of the applications which got filed a couple of years back, say in 2020, so even if it got filed 2 years back, they did not receive their green card. Whereas somebody that filed just like 4 months back, 5 months back, they are receiving their green cards. So this is, in a way, it is not fair to some people. But I think in terms of priority, the priority was, do they go in an order and waste some numbers, or do they ensure that they process in the most fastest possible manner, because the goal is not to waste visa numbers. So that has caused the numbers to be used up, because now at least there is no wastage. So there is no wastage of green card numbers for this fiscal year. But in short term, there is a pain, and that pain is retrogression. And that also means that few people have been waiting for quite some time. They are not eligible to get a green card right now because of this retrogression mess that has happened this week.
Yes. So, Mr. Chan, do you think that due to the education days have moved back to 2012, do you see any hope in future for the internationals who are waiting for their green cards then that are impacted by the retrogression?
Definitely, I think in the future visa bulletins, we will have a clearer picture. And the spillover from this year will also make a big impact. And the main thing is, on the employment side, every October, the visa numbers get reset. So right now, USCIS announced that all the visa numbers are gone. But what they mean is that for this current fiscal year, the current fiscal year ends on September 30th. So for the current fiscal year, all the visa numbers are gone. We will have the new visa numbers again from October. So in the employment-based category, no matter what, we have 140,000 green cards because of the current laws. We might have more than 140,000 based on the spillover. So last year, because of the spillover, we had 280,000, so almost double of the normal quota. So even this year, I think definitely, I think there will be some spillover. We just don't know how much spillover. My guess is even USCIS and Department of State at this point of time, they are not really sure, because this fiscal year is not over yet, and interviews are still scheduled for this September for the consulates and the embassies. So they will have a clearer picture in the month of October. They will know how many green cards have not been issued. So they will have a better idea, and they will have a better idea of the spillover. So not only they will have a good idea on the inventory, on the spillovers, but they'll also know how to allocate it, because the general rule says that it has to go to EB1, and from EB1 it has to go to EB2, and so on. But how exactly are they going to allocate these numbers, and how many get allocated to different countries? Because a lot depends, because the 7% quota is for the 140,000 regular green cards. But when you have a spillover, they can exceed that 7% country quota. So only when USCIS does this analysis, that is when they will be able to come up with their the visa bulletin charts. And that is one reason why USCIS has been very conservative. So if you look at the Department of State's visa bulletin that came out this week, they're very conservative. They retrogressed the dates back. So the dates went back. But hopefully, once the spillover is confirmed, they know how many green cards are being spilled over from the family-based categories and so on. That is when I think they will have a better picture. And that is when I think they will start again progressing the visa bulletin. And the next few months, I think the next 2-3 months, I think we'll have more clarity because Department of State will be releasing information, USCIS will be releasing their information on the 485 inventory and so on. And that will give us a better picture. So I think in the next 2-3 bulletins, probably in the November and the December bulletin, we will have more clearer picture on when this retrogression will end. But as of today, we do have retrogression.
Yes. So, Mr. Chan, what kind of RFPs are you typically seeing for the I-485 filings? Now, some people have recently filed their RFPs and responses for their I-485. Due to retrogression, do you think they have lost their chance of getting their green card, or is there any hope for the people who have recently submitted their RFPs?
So for many people who have recently submitted the RFE response for their 485s, I think there is still a slight chance. And the reason for the slight chance is USCI, if a visa number has been allocated, then there is a chance. If the visa number is not allocated for their file yet, there is no chance because all the numbers have been used up. And until October 1st, we do not have the new visa numbers. So until October 1st, USCIS cannot issue a green card. They cannot allocate a new visa number. So the chances are slim. And unless a visa number has already been allocated to somebody's file, in that case, the green cards can still be issued. And there is no easy way of knowing whether a visa number has been allocated to their file or not. And typically a congressional inquiry or an ombudsman inquiry, those are some of the best ways to figure out whether a visa number has been allocated to their file or not. But in case a visa number has not been allocated, USCIS will not touch their file until the new numbers come into picture from October. And only if the date is current, and only at that point of time, a new visa number can be allocated. And again, in terms of the I-485 RFEs, so most of the I-485 RFEs in the last couple of months, they have been like super simple RFEs, because I think USCIS has been trying to achieve their goal of not wasting any available green card numbers for this year. So most of the RFEs have been very, very simple. And clearly they have been very lenient with even the birth certificates, because birth certificates is one of the most common RFEs. And they have been extremely lenient on the birth certificate. So even if the birth is registered late, they have been very, very lenient. And the other most common RFE is medicals. So medicals is a very common RFE. And the reason people get that RFE is because they have not filed their medicals in their initial filing. And for that reason, medicals is a common RFE, but it's a very simple RFE to respond to. So all they have to do is go to the civil surgeon, get their medicals done and respond back. And we have seen cases who have submitted medicals, get a green card in as short as 1 day. And most of the time, it is very, very quick. The minute you submit your medicals, USCIS is waiting for it. And the minute they see it, they're approving the green cards. The caveat is that the visa number has to still be available. So the visa number is available. It is a very fast process once medicals RFE is submitted. And the other RFEs are a little bit uncommon. So the other uncommon RFEs that we get for 485s are typically to do with maintenance of status. So the USCIS officer is asking one to prove that ever since they landed in US, from that date to the date of filing of their 485, they've always maintained their status. And what that means is prove through their pay statements, their W-2s, and a letter from their employer that they've maintained valid employment, they've maintained valid H-1B status. And another common RFE it's not common, it's uncommon, but people can expect to see this RFE time to time. And that RFE is for 485J, Supplement J. So RFE for Supplement J is also sometimes an officer can ask for it. But lately, because they've been trying to process green cards at such a fast, rapid pace, most of the RFEs are simple medicals or simple birth certificate RFEs.
Yes. So, Mr. Chan, are the people who are going to the interviews, for their 485 interviews, are they getting direct approvals, or are they getting RFEs after the green card interviews? So what is going to happen to the upcoming green card interviews now that we have the retrogression date in date?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are concerned because, I mean, in general, majority of the cases for I-485s, they don't result in interviews. But a few of them, unfortunately, result in an interview. And for the people who are having interviews, most of the time, majority of the cases that we are seeing, the officer is approving green cards very, very quickly. And majority of the time, we are seeing the officer state on the same day that the case is getting approved, and within a week they will see their case getting approved and the green card getting issued. This is what typically happens in majority of the cases. In a few cases, the officer will probably issue an RFE and ask for some simple documents. We've seen that happen. They ask for the most recent pay statements, a couple of status documents, and so on. So sometimes we do see RFEs, but not very common. Most common thing is direct approval. A few times we do see RFEs. Very rarely we also see notice of intent to deny. The reason for that is during the interview, if something went wrong big time, uh, very, very rarely we did see a notice of intent to revoke. And it could be due to something in their past. Maybe they did something in their past and they lied to the officer and the officer caught them in a lie. So that is one of the most common scenarios where somebody can anticipate an intent to deny case. The big rule is nobody can ever lie to a US government officer. They can refuse to answer, but they cannot lie. And if they lie, they have big repercussions. And if they are caught in a lie, that is a time when somebody can expect to see an intent to deny kind of a NOID. But again, it is very rare. The general experience is they are typically approved. Majority of the cases are very clean, so they are approved. And that being said, for the people who are attending interviews in the next couple of days, now with this retrogression, so more than likely, what is going to happen is the officer will let the person know that they cannot issue the green card. They'll probably say that everything is right, everything is good, but a green card more than likely will not be issued. And the officer will state that once the visa numbers are available, they will be issued a green card. That is more than likely what one can expect to hear in the next couple of days if they have a visa interview set up before the dates become current.
Yes. Finally, Chand Garu, we have last 2 minutes. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewers watching the show right now?
Sure. So I think the big thing is with the 485s, dates have gone back. There is retrogression, but I think it is a temporary thing. Nothing. I mean, for the people who have received green cards in the last couple of months, numerous Indian nationals have received their green cards. So it's really a great time for those folks. The main thing is anybody that has got their green card, make sure you're following the laws, you're in compliance, and in 4 year 9 months from the day you get your green card approved, you are eligible to file for a citizenship, US citizenship. So anybody that got their green cards, get ready for your next step, which is filing for US citizenship. Make sure you always comply with the US laws. Never get in trouble with the law. And for the folks that are very close to getting their green cards and lost their chance because of retrogression, nothing to be disappointed. My guess is we will still see spillover even this year. So if we see spillover, I think that will be good news. So I think we can anticipate the dates to move up once there is more clarity on the spillover. The good thing is you have EAD cards, you have advanced paroles, so you do have some flexibility. And I think it is just a waiting game at this stage. And we all hope that the dates will become current again. The dates will start moving faster again. And we will have the kind of movement we have seen in the last 2 years.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chand Garu, for joining on to our show. We did cover majority of topics. We'll continue this again next week. Thank you for the viewers for tuning in. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Shivani Raj.